name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank God. All right. We only have 3 left, and 1 and 2 more. We want to say something about Aristotle, and then the connection with St. Thomas, time permitting. And we'll go from there. Aristotle, as you know, followed Plato, was a student of Plato, 384 to 322 BC. And Aristotle, as you know, hopefully, student of Plato, no doubt his most famous student, and he and Plato had a intellectual parting of the ways, but never ceased to be friends. In fact, some may make the case that they were never as close as when they intellectually disagreed, which would be wonderful if we could return to that, but that seems to be long past. That people can have disagreements without being disagreeable and without assassinating the character of one with whom you disagree, and immediately attribute bad motives and evil intentions and all of those kinds of things. But again, that was different time, different place. And what we want to look at is this question of Aristotle's more or less philosophy of knowledge, which is referred to, of course, as epistemology. Epistemology is the philosophical study of knowledge. How do we gain knowledge? What is knowledge? What counts as knowledge? How we use knowledge, etc. Aristotle begins with a very simple statement that really undergirds his entire approach to the question of knowledge, and also undergirds his understanding of an essential component of the human being. This is, all men by nature desire to know. All men desire by nature to know. In other words, by nature, we prefer to know than to be ignorant. We prefer the truth to a lie. And so there is within us, innate, it's part of our being, the idea of knowing. We want to know. And Aristotle begins with the second principle: all knowledge begins in the senses. All knowledge begins in the senses. Senses, ear, eye, nose, throat, things like that, the senses. And which again is a break from Plato. The key word there is the word begins. He's not a pure empiricist in the sense of what you see is what you get, because he's well aware of the sense's ability to be in error, to be wrong. Oh, here comes Phyllis. Phyllis gets a little close, and we say, oh, no, it's Robert. They're in California, so it's understandable. So, okay, what happened? Was that a lie? No, not a lie. No one person believed that was it. Or whatever, a mistake is different than a lie. A lie is a willful deception or falsification of what one knows to be true. A mistake is simply that, a mistake. It is a wrong take on something that we believe to be true, but turns out not to be true. So knowledge begins in the senses. So he's an empiricist in that sense. But also, knowledge doesn't end in the senses, because after you make, if you want another word for senses, it begins in perception. So many people today take that and stop at that. Well, that's my perception. Yeah, well, it's possible your perception is wrong. I'm not saying you don't believe it. I'm saying it turns out to be objectively wrong. And so that's why begins is very important. Begins in perception, sense experience, etc. But then one has to make second judgment about it. One makes a judgment, perception. Comes a person, is that Jim? Yeah, that's Jim coming. Turns out to be Ralph. The more sense experience, the more perception is refined, I then make a different judgment. Oh no, that's Ralph, etc. And the third level is the level of action. I perceive it, I judge it, and I act upon it. And the action itself can further lead to a refinement of the perception. I have this, whatever this contraption is here, this thing. I have this for Ralph. Here I am with the thing. Guess I could pick it up. Oh, no, I'll just leave it there. I have a bottle of water for Ralph. So here's the thing for Ralph. I have the water, done. Because Ralph has really been outside working. He's thirsty, but it comes, and it's David. So I may put it away. Okay? Why? So I act differently because my perception was in error. I made a judgment. In fact, that was wrong. But the closer the person came, I made a different judgment. No, it's David. Or whoever it is. Well, I put it away. I don't even ask. I may not even ask. He may have been in the office all day. So that's irrelevant. So it is perception, judgment, action that allows knowledge to be obtained. And if this knowledge happens on a regular basis, consistently, for different people, etc., I may make it into a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a nice word for an educated guess. I put this out to be tested. And if it in fact is done by different people in different places at different times, and consistently the results is the same, I may say it's a principle or a law. It's a law. The sun rises, the earth rotates, and the sun goes up in the eastern part, then in the west. This has happened enough that we say that's what it does. And we attribute it to the rotation of the earth and so on and so forth like this. Okay. So, but knowledge must begin in the senses. But again, he is not a pure empiricist in that particular sense. Seeing is believing. No, seeing is only the first step. Then I have to proceed further than that. Okay. Now, Aristotle tells us that there are three types of knowledge. And under the first, we have three types under the first. The first type of knowledge is what Aristotle calls theoretical knowledge. That is, it's the seeking of truth for its own sake. We by nature desire knowledge in order to obtain the truth. So the first level is the level of theoretical knowledge, which is knowledge for its own sake. It's not used for something else. It's not a utility. It's not so we gain something, etc. It's the sheer enjoyment of knowledge for having learned and having encountered the truth. A person who, for example, reads even let's say, a beautiful poem, and it moves them to I don't know, greater insight into themselves or the world or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. But that's not the primary focus. The primary focus is they like the poems of Wordsworth or Shelley or one of these people. And they like it. They get enjoyment out of it. Somebody says, well, what good is that? That's of no good. Person says, well, what do you mean? Well, what can you do with that? Well, the answer is nothing. That's the great thing about that kind of knowledge. It's not for something. It's for itself. The most useless thing in the world is liturgy. If done properly. Well, it is, if done properly. What is it for? What do you want to use it for? To bribe God? To be seen by others as holy? To fulfill some kind of compulsion that you have a duty to do it? No. Liturgy properly done is for the expression of glory, praise, and thanksgiving to Almighty God for no other reason than to praise God. That's what it is. Liturgy is not a tool. You can't use liturgy for something else. That's when all the problems start. When you start using liturgy, and that's where the liturgists go off the deep end, unfortunately. Where you have all kind of machinations going on. You have the altar flooded with everything, and so on and so forth. That the reason, the idea or the purpose, to use that word, is glory to God, and not for all the other stuff. The other stuff is a means to augment that. But liturgy is like play. The closest thing to liturgy that we have is play. And plays are different than games. How is play different than a game?
A game, you have an end result.
Very good. How does that differ then from play?
You're not looking for an end result in that manner.
Very good. The greatest players are children. Also, it engages the imagination. That broomstick with the old mop hand, or the old mop thing hanging there, that can become a horse. That can become trigger or whatever. This pebble here, this rock, can become a spaceship. This thing I'm throwing can become a grenade if I'm playing war, stuff like that. This tree, this branch, it can become a sword, or all of that. And play, pure play, it has no rules. It's not rule governed. It's that free exercise of expression, etc. Games are more structured. You got foul lines where you can position your players, sit, what you can. Tons of rules. Almost every organized play activity has a rule book. You go into the professional leagues in baseball, they got the rule book. Football, basketball, whatever it is. And you have those in order to facilitate the achievement of the end of the game, which is winning and losing. That's what it is. You often hear people say, well, I do it just for the enjoyment of it. That's great. That's great. That's what we hope to do. But we know how difficult that is. We say, my competitive juices got the best of me. And what happened? Yeah, I'm going out there to play that god-awful golf. Going out there to play golf. Okay? And I'm just going because I'm there with people and so on and so forth. And it's wonderful and nice and all this kind of stuff. Okay. Mark Twain said, golf is a good walk ruined. But anyway, it is. But anyway. And there with the guys and all this kind of stuff. And somebody says, "Oh, let's play $5 a hole." All of a sudden, it's not play anymore. It's not play anymore because there's going to be rules and there's going to be play. The thing has changed from play, like you playing and you just quote unquote horsing around. And so you go there and you're about this far from the hole for a putt. And you get down on your knees and you turn your golf club into a cue stick for pool. And you do that. And everybody laughs and so on and so forth. Nobody cares. Why? Because I'm enjoying the whole thing and who cares? What's the score? How many strokes was that? Oh, I don't remember. You know, and then you'll start arguing about the strokes and all of that. What do? They're playing. They're playing. But as soon as somebody says, "What's the score?" and then you start writing it down, it's a game. It's a game now. A whole different atmosphere, a whole different behavior sets in, a whole different attitude sets in, etc. And we know it when we engage in something that's play and something that's a game. And so knowledge at a theoretical level is purely for its own sake. You get a degree in, I don't know, aesthetics or ceramics or something. And you say, well, what good is that? How are you going to get a job with that? But they're asking, and you say, well, I don't know. I just like ceramics. And they say, well, you can't eat on that. You know, you see two very different approaches to the activity. One is I enjoy it. I like fooling with it, making things and all that kind of stuff. One are beautiful. But then the other person says, well, what about making a living? You know, Hegel, the great philosopher William Friedrich Hegel, he was a super idealist of the German school in the 18th century. And he developed a philosophy of idealism based upon an idealism of the dialectic, being, non-being, becoming. And it was very theoretical and all this kind of stuff. And along came Karl Marx, who was a dyed-in-the-wool materialist, an economist. And Marx sarcastically said, you see, Marx said, this guy Hegel is on to something. This method of the dialectic is very good. The problem is he's got this thing of being, non-being, and becoming. Look there. He said he's got the right method. He's got the wrong elements. He needs proletariat, bourgeoisie, classless society. We have to get hold of this capitalist and this class system, etc., means of production and consumption. And he said, I would only say to Hegel that your philosophy doesn't bake the bread. In other words, you're up here somewhere, and I'm worrying about people who don't have enough to eat. They're locked in this factory system of the 18th and 19th century. You got child labor. You got people working 16, 17, 18 hours a day or longer. Terrible conditions, no health benefits, nothing. With terrible owners who are oppressing them. So his thing is, you got the right thing, you just got the wrong elements at play. So philosophy doesn't bake the bread. That's his perspective. So from that standpoint, theoretical knowledge is simply for its own sake. The second level is what we might call natural philosophy or physics. Physics. It has to do with chemistry, biology, zoology, anthropology, and all of the ologies. And it takes a look at the natural world, and wants to understand them, the variety, the various species that are there, and so on. The next level is the level of mathematics. That's a very high level of abstraction. But notice he starts with this physical, then goes to the mathematical, which is important. And the highest level of knowledge, he refers to it as the metaphysical level. It's the level in which we look for the universal laws that govern all reality. This is the knowledge that asks the most basic question. Simply put, why? We say, and we'll leave all the fine things off of it. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Why? I take this pen thing, or whatever this is. Why, when I let go? I take this attempt to make my body more attractive, some quarters. But anyway, it does the same thing, but I wouldn't mistake this for this, unless I want to have blackface, which will get you into trouble. So you don't want to do that. So, see, and yet if I took this, or if I take this, it all does the same thing. But this is all different. Sizes, shapes, weights, elements, all that. Why? And that's what metaphysics is. What is the universal principles that govern all reality? Are there principles that are beyond seeing them, but we see them in their operation? So we call it gravity, things like that. We don't see gravity. No one in here, for example, has seen wind. We don't see wind. You say, oh, the wind is blowing. I don't see it. Where's the wind blowing? Where? Where is it? I see the bottle. Yeah, here it is. I'll come see the wind. Where is it? I don't see it. Well, how do you know it's windy? I know a thing by its effects. I know it by its effects. So I may not know something directly. I may have something hanging outside. And after a week or two, it's on a rope and it falls. Why did it fall? Gravity. Plus wear and tear from the wind, the rain and stuff. So I didn't see it, but I understand it by its effects. We do that with people sometimes. Why does so-and-so have such a rotten disposition? Because we've met so-and-so's parents. That's why some people have rotten dispositions. See? And then, no. See how rash judgment, how wrong that is? I mean, this is a very nice lady, and all of y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Which only evidences that Lent made absolutely no difference to you or Easter or anything else. And so we do that. We look at things by their effects. We try to explain them by an antecedent cause or something if it's not immediately present. Why is a person the way they are? I don't know why. But then when I start to understand maybe their environment, where they grew up, what kind of values they had or didn't have, etc., I say, oh, I get it. It now becomes, it's explainable. It's understandable, at least as much as I can on the basis of that. We can understand another person, which is always, as Augustine said, I'm a mystery unto myself, which is true. when you think about it. How many times do we say, I can't believe I did that, or I said that, so on and so forth. So anyway, so we can know a thing by its effect. Then we have practical knowledge. Practical knowledge is we want to know in order to achieve a result or an outcome. Practical knowledge is something that works in order to achieve a goal or a purpose. So if I have a flat tire, I have to get something that's able to, first of all, let's say lift the car or whatever it happens to be. Well, I have to get something. I have to get a tool or something, and I have to lift it. So I don't go and get this. I don't go get a stick or something, which is not going to be able to support the truck. I have a practical knowledge that this is what works. So it's what works, that practical knowledge. And that practical knowledge is often gained through trial and error and experience. Hence, you have a person who's just starting out as an apprentice, but they usually would study under a master. And so on. The journeyman is a step above and is learning the ropes and is moving along. And then you get to the master level. Okay. So that practical knowledge, something that works, knowledge of how to navigate in the world, etc. And the last knowledge, he says, is productive knowledge. Productive knowledge. That is, you know how to produce something. You know how to bring it forth and into existence. You know how to build. You know how to cultivate. You know how to do those kind of things. So that's a productive knowledge. So these are the various levels of knowledge. Now, in our society today, obviously, if you look at these things, the things that we value the most are productive, practical, and mathematical kind of knowledge. That's the knowledge that we want. The idea of a kind of theoretical metaphysics is one of the great deficiencies of our education today, and one deficiency of our society is we have grown totally and completely ignorant and devoid of any kind of understanding of metaphysical reality. The first principles of things. We simply want to know how it works, how's it done, etc. That's all I want to know. I don't know anything else. So I come here. Of course, they don't have it here, but, you know, it's okay, I guess. But supposing I come here, and you can't see, pretend. And where's the stupid thing? Yeah. I turn on the light. Turn on the light. The light is on. And when I'm finishing here, I do this. And somebody says, gee, how did you do that? And I go, yeah. And they say, oh, really? Why does that happen? Because there's a bulb up there. Bulb? Yeah, a light thing, something. And you just do this, that's on, and that's off. Yeah, but why does it? I don't know. Why does the computer thing work? I definitely don't know. How am I looking at a television and seeing something thousands of miles away? And you're telling me it's something on a beam or a signal or something up in space somewhere. All of this, how does that work? I have no idea. You want to get really practical and goofy? Okay, you go outside in the parking lot tonight and your car doesn't start. Doesn't start. And you get these faux mechanics who think that they know how to do it. You know, like they just came from the Indy 500. And they're in there looking and fooling around and all of this kind of stuff. And not only isn't it starting, it's begging to stop whatever this person is doing to it, the poor thing, and so on and so forth like this. Okay. Now, well, I know what I got to do. I got to call AAA. Or I got to be sure to bring it into the mechanic. Or is that service station down there open? So on and so forth. Mechanic. Or do I know somebody? You see, we are users of stuff without having any understanding of how it works. That's a very, very alienating thing from our environment. To be a user without an understanding. And yet so much of our life is surrounded by that. We just use it. Can't explain it. Can't fix it. All we can do is get somebody else and pay for it and just keep going. We never say, well, why does that work? Why? You have some smart people who say, gee, how did you do that? But let me see how you did that. So I don't have to call you again or pay for this again. Or tell me why this, that person is asking something more than just using it. They're asking for something deeper. They're going to the practical, productive. And some may even say, oh, gee, that's fascinating. They may go get a book in the library. Oh, no, God forbid. They go on those machines, computer things. God, end of civilization. Anyway, and they look up some huh? Google it. Yes, Google it. Yes, gargle with it, all that. No, Roy, do not go. Thank you. Anyway, so we have all that. So these are the things that a society is often defined by what it values as knowledge. What does it prize? Well, if that's what you reward and that's what you prize, that's the kind of culture and its values you produce. If you produce a society that values productive consumption, consumerism, if you have a society that values, to the exclusion of other things, that which is able to be technological and all of that, well, then other things tend to shrink. The aesthetic, the poetic, the artistic. Many schools have cut back on their arts program in order to advance either this science stuff or athletics. That's the thing. When there is a fight over a budget in a university and how much allocation is going to be allowed, number one place is, of course, the research universities. Research. They get billions of dollars from government, from private entities, etc. We value that. We prize that. How much for the humanities? The you what? What are you? You what? No. That is often looked upon as a waste, or at least an add-on, a luxury if you can afford it, something like that. Because the first thing they say is, on this coming Saturday afternoon, we're going to have 110,000 in the Horseshoe Stadium at Ohio State. Now, how many people are going to go to your lab to see your experiment? How many are going to go to your art show? Your little dance review or whatever you're going to have? In fact, the only reason you have it is because we put fannies in the stands. And you have some money to do that. That's why. Okay. That's one very practical, everyday experience. If you've ever been in a university where the budget is fought over, on the one side and the other side. And the one side is always arguing, Who brings the dough for you all, especially you professors who do practically nothing, maybe a class a week, and that's about it? And you get these salaries with tenure and everything. You think you're going to get it with these people doing finger paints in the room over there? Not when you got 25,000 in the gymnasium to watch a basketball game, or 100 and something thousand. I mean, LSU. Well, LSU has no worry about money because it's basically controlled by the legislature. And what did they do? They expanded the stadium to 100,000 or more, whatever it is now. Why? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go to Harvard for this. It's the money. And their argument is, we're paying for you all. You don't want this? Okay. Cut the size of the stadium, make it 20,000. And by the way, how's your salaries going to work? How's your research and all that's going to take place? One of the first things you want to show the so-called scholar athletes. Well, thank God, that's one good thing about that portal thing. Huh? You know, with the college, we've gotten rid of this illusion, this lie of a scholar athlete. I don't think there ever was one. But anyway, that's as rare as a Louisiana honest politician. I mean, come on. And so now what do you have? Well, you have them going around shopping from year to year. Year to year. How much are you going to give me to come here? And that's a fact. It's one of the reasons Lou Saban quit football. One of the great coaches of all time. Kid went in there. A perspective. And he said, Coach, I got a $20,000 offer to go to such and such a school. What's your offer? Lou Saban said, my offer is the door. Get out. The next day he called and said, I'm out. I'm out. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I have kids coming in here earning more than my assistant coaches are earning. And I want them to listen to my coaches. My university thinks more of them than they do of my assistants who have been with me sometimes 10, 12 years in their salary and the benefits. No, it's completely corrupted it. But it's exposed it for what it's always been. It's always been this notion of scholar athletes and all this kind of stuff. I mean, please, come on. And again, you get what Aristotle says, in a community that values crime, you get crime. In a community that values virtue, you get virtuous citizens. And that sounds simple and kind of, yeah. Just see how true it is. Ask yourself, what do we value today and what are we producing? You want to know, people say, oh, well, it's this, it's that, it's that. First question, what are you rewarding? What are you valuing? And how do you reward it? How do you value it? You don't need to be surprised. Again, this is not rocket science. What do you value in your family? I don't know. I have no idea anything about your family. But you're going to produce the kind of people in your family with what you value and reward. Honesty, loyalty, respect, generosity, or disrespect, superiority, arrogance. Well, that's the kind of kid you're going to grow up. So, gee, how did that happen? I have no idea. I can't imagine. What a society and a culture honors and rewards the kind of citizens that come forth. This is not a mystery. It's not a mystery. And Aristotle, from the beginning, said, if you reward virtue, you get virtuous citizens. If you reward people who are filled with vice, you get a corrupt society. And we get. If you have a parish that you just want to get in and get out, don't care about anything, and so on and so forth, what do you get? Well, that's what you get. You get that kind of liturgy, you get that kind of treatment, and so on. And so don't complain about it. Don't complain about it. That's what you asked for. You get the kind of priest you deserve. Yeah. We are the church. Okay, fine. I can't stand these priests. Really? What has been going on there? What has been cultivated there? Or, I like the priests, they're always there, they're this, that, so on and so forth. Why? Because that was what acknowledged and rewarded and valued. Every community, every organization builds its culture on the basis of that. Again, it sounds simple. I understand that. It sounds like, oh, well, you got to go to class for this. No, it's not about going to class for anything. It's about the idea of daily seeing that what John Adams, all the way back at the founding of the country, by the way, John Adams, who was a, let's see, how to put it nicely. He was a very, 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 very difficult person to get along with. Not one that you would invite to a party or something at your house. You wouldn't. Brilliant man. Maybe one of the most brilliant, if not the most brilliant, actually, of the founders. His commentary, his 2-volume commentary on the Constitution, is the best thing ever written. You take all this modern stuff and all these interpretations, just throw it away. You read those 2 volumes. Unfortunately, recently, in speaking to law students, they don't even know what that is. And yet they're in con law. They don't. Some of them don't know what the Federalist Papers are. None of this kind of stuff. Now, because we're too busy reading the latest nonsense that's going on, but I'm not going to get into that. That was for them. Okay. So when you look at these things and you see, Adams said the greatest threat to the American experiment in ordered liberty is citizen indifference. And that has been proven. Citizen indifference. Why? Because if you start your Constitution with "we the people," the highest flag at that pole is "we the people." And if I don't care, if I don't maintain it, if I'm not vigilant, and I ain't got nobody to blame but me. And when I hear these politicians and these airhead commentators on television say, oh, we have great trust in the American people. Oh, the American people. American people? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? They know more on who's on the Supreme Court than they know, more on who's one of these groups singing or playing some stupid sports than how many justices are on the Supreme Court. What's the first right of the Bill of Rights? What kind of government do we have? I don't know. Why? We took civic education out and we placed in it current events. Current events. Can you imagine that? You got to let that roll. Now, where's the outcry over that? Oh, nobody knows anything about government anymore. Well, where were you? Where were you when you elected these people to the school board? Where were you? Did you? That was one of the great things of this COVID thing, this Chinese virus. What happened? Parents all of a sudden got an eye view of what was going on in the school. Then all of a sudden, they got woke. They got woke up. And they saw this and they said, you got to be kidding. Oh, no, this has been going on. Now we have this big battle in Virginia. Over this teaching of, in the third grade, a book, textbook kind of thing. Making Friends with Purple Puppy. And Purple Puppy is a confused puppy about its, this whole notion of it's a transgender puppy. See? Now, first of all, there's no such thing as transgender. It doesn't exist. Now, if you're one of those who thinks it does, okay, I'm happy to report to you that the Supreme Court, and I don't praise them often, the Supreme Court in England, oh God, kills me to say it, the English actually came up with this. The Supreme Court in England ruled that on documents of government and business of government, there are only two genders, male and female. There are no other recognized or allowed in any document or any transaction having to do in the United Kingdom. Now, think about it for a moment. You have to have a president sign an executive order that we only have two genders. You got to have a Supreme Court across the ocean of this, when any reasonable, normal person knew, several thousand millennia ago, God created male and female. He created them. I've looked at the footnotes, I've looked at some translations, and I never see where it says, and we had the trendies. I'm sorry, and I never saw that. Now you say that, and of course you're immediately accused of hater, homophobic, against, you want violence and hatred. No, I don't. I want to do what they told me to do for the last 5 years. Follow the science. Okay, I am. I am following the little chromosome. See? Anyway, my point is, and Aristotle's point is, what do you honor? What do you do? And you see it in the society today. This is, 2005, 6, 20-something, 100 years ago. But you see, these are enduring principles. And what you do in your family, what you do in your community, what you do in your nation and church and world, what you honor, what you value is what you get. Again, this is not Harvard rocket science stuff. Anyway, now, drawing on Plato, Aristotle says we seek knowledge for three reasons. We seek knowledge for itself, knowledge for itself. And this knowledge can be contemplative and speculative. Contemplative knowledge is the highest form of knowledge because it requires the ability to think apart from the particulars and think in terms of the forms. So it is a contemplative knowledge. It is knowledge detached from the particulars of an object or a thing or an event and seeks to understand the thing in itself. And then the second is speculative. On the basis of what you're able to gather, you speculate. In other words, you guess. But it's a guess that's educated. It's grounded in some reason or ground. And you go beyond what is immediately available. Beyond what is immediately available to see something in terms of consequences or outcome. That's a speculative knowledge. Speculative knowledge. That's the first part of that knowledge for itself. Again, just to go over this, practical knowledge is the practical application. Now, ethics is a practical knowledge, is a form of the practical intellect. Ethics is practical. Has to do with how you live, how you act, but as practical as you can get. And it does it for the end of becoming a fully developed human being, a good person, if you will. Above all, a virtuous person. And we're going to talk about Aristotle in terms of how you do that, so on and so forth. But you do that. There is a realm of the practical intellect, of which ethics is the chief among those for one who wants to become a good human being. Then you have knowledge that one gains in order for its applicability. You're gaining knowledge in order to apply it, either for maintaining, improving the world and society, the standard of living. That's what you do. That's what you do. You want to apply it in order to make things better, to improve the quality of something, okay? Hopefully that's the idea, not to make things worse. Now, Aristotle also understood that there was a thing, see, this old question of change and permanence, which goes all the way back to what two philosophers? Huh? The question of change and permanence goes back to what two philosophers? I am a failure. No. For them. Who brought all these up? Huh? No. Who first? No, you're getting better, but you're going in the right direction. You're going in the right direction. Change and, yeah. Who? One is P and one is H. I feel like I'm Vanna White.
Pythagoras.
Huh? Pythagoras? Not Pythagoras. It's close though. Parmenides. That's one. And Heraclitus. Yes. That's right. Heraclitus, things are in constant change and flux, and Parmenides, things are solid, permanent, and unchanging. And that's when we get off on the question of permanence and change. Now, Plato does not really give a good explanation of change. Aristotle does, because Aristotle is interested much more so than Plato in the natural world, in the course of things, evolving and changing. He's aware of that. He's aware of that. Why? Because he dives into biology, zoology, all of those things, botany, and you name it, animal behavior, and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, he's totally immersed in that. But he's also aware that there is a permanence. There's a permanence there, even though these entities may look different, develop differently, etc. But there's something there permanent there. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But he says, I noticed this change. Change, that's a big concept in philosophy and a big concept for Aristotle. Aristotle says there are four causes. Four causes. If you want to understand change, you have to understand causality. Causality is that which explains change. And there are four causes. Four causes. The efficient cause, the formal cause, the material cause, and the final cause. Those are the four causes that, what's that? Efficient, formal, material, final. Okay, everybody hear that? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Okay. The efficient cause is the who or what that brought change about or made the particular thing that's there. So the efficient cause is that which produces the event or entity under discussion. The formal cause is that for which a thing is made for its proper purpose. It is the proper purpose for which a thing or an event is made or held. The material cause is that of which a thing is made of. Its elements, what it's made of. And the final cause is its perfection or completion. Its perfection or completion. In other words, in the final cause, the formal cause is realized. Formal cause is realized. Now, so you have that. What is this? Chair. Just a chair. Okay, so you got a chair. What's the efficient cause of the chair? No. What does efficient cause mean? What it is. Yeah. So you're giving me something other than that. What is the efficient cause of a chair?
Parts that make it look like that.
No.
A seat in a bath.
No.
A seat
No.
in a bath.
No. No. What did you say, Connie? No. When I asked you, you said something. First time. To sit on. Okay? It's the efficient cause. Who made the chair? Who made it? Who brought it into existence?
Somebody wanted to sit. Got hard standing.
No. We're starting with the base. I'm just talking about this chair. You're bringing in all these other extraneous things. Now, what I'm saying is, who made the chair? Who made the chair? Well, it could be whom? A carpenter. What else could have made it? A manufacturer, especially if it's prefabricated. Don't worry, take 2 in the morning and you'll be fine. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, see, now next time you go there, you can ask them if they know this stuff. Okay. Now, I wonder what Aristotle, anyway. We have a chair, and the efficient cause is what? Yeah, made it. Okay. What's the formal cause? Yes. Sitting. Yeah, just read the things that you wrote down. Don't just belch something out. I know, but anyway, number 3. What's the material? Okay, what's it made of? Plastic, metal, some rubber maybe at the bottom, so it doesn't scrape the floors, something like that. I don't know. Okay. So you have that. And what's its final cause? Mm-hmm. Now, see this chair? Has this chair reached its final cause? Why? Is it, okay. No, 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 no. Wait. Stay with this. Is this a chair? Is this a chair?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's good. This is a chair. It's a chair. So I'm asking you, has it reached its final? Okay. Yes. No. Very good. Wait. Well, that's exactly right. Well, that's exactly why it hasn't reached its final cause. Because if they sit in it and it collapses, it hasn't reached its final cause. That's why Aristotle, now think about this, though, you see. Aristotle says a person cannot say that they fulfilled their nature as a good human being until they're dead. Because as long as you're living, there's a possibility you won't. You'll give in to temptation. You'll fall short. You'll become lazy. Those kind of things. Now, against my better judgment, would you come sit here? Please? Well, wait, be careful now. You all right? Okay. Now, here he is sitting in the chair. Has this chair fulfilled its function? Yes, it has. Yes, it has. It's fulfilled its function.
Okay, would you say it has, but it folded? So, did the function of folding and putting it away?
Yes. For what was the chair? What was the intent of the maker? And also, what other? To be portable and to fold. This obviously was made to fold, unlike a fixed chair, a wingback, or something like that. You can't do that. So that was part of its intention. And can it do that? Yes. At least we saw it once anyway. But right now it's done this. Now, if I take this chair, pardon the chair, and you say, what about this chair? Where is it on the scale there, please?
It's met perfection.
It's reached its function. That one has not. Which one of these chairs has more being? Why? Very good. Why? Very good. Now, does this chair here, this thing, it is in a state of potential or actual? Potential. However, I'm not going to ask you, but if I ask this lady here to get up and sit in the chair, it has passed from potential to actual. Okay? It has from potential to actual. Hence, this chair has less being because it hasn't functioned yet as this. Hence, the importance of action. Action is crucial. There is a very practical, action-oriented element in Aristotle's philosophy that is not present in Plato. Plato tends to be in the mind up here somewhere. Aristotle says potential actual. Being, that which exists, in its nature. In its nature. There is a functional element to it, and there's a realization. And this change from here to here is a fulfillment of what it is. Even, let's suppose instead of this nice, white, wonderful little chair we have here, we have some old beat-up thing like that one in the back over there somewhere, okay? And we put it here. And you sit in it. And Sandy gets up and goes and sits there. Which chair has more being? No, he stands up there. He's standing up. The chair now is empty. This old beat-up chair is there. But this lady, although she's very nice, contrary to what you all think, gets up and sits in the chair. Which one has more being? The old one. The old one. That's correct. Therefore, the mere appearance is not enough. Yes, that shows the fulfillment. Hence, the basis of hypocrisy and betrayal.
Folded it up and set it on,
Yes.
So what do you call that when you fold it up? That's not going to be action, is it?
Yes. Yes, it's an action. So? Yes, it's an action of folding it, but I take this chair, okay? Is it potential or actual? Potential. Potential. No. Wait. Hang in there with me. You're going to lose your nice status in a moment. Come back to this. Can you hold that? Just put your hand there. That's all. Just like that. Running out of chairs. I have that thing over there, that chair over there. No. You stay here. No, that's fine. You've now ruined everything. Go ahead. Just stay there. No. So, surprisingly to all of you, no doubt, Sandy is now the fulfillment, okay, and perfection of things. Okay, he's there. Sandy, that chair over there has less being than he does. What about this chair? It's a chair. It has the same? It does. It does. This chair has the same as that one. Well, I'll tell you what you do, Betty. Betty, you get up. Get up, Betty. Please get up. And come around here, please. No. She said it has the same. Right? That's what she said. Yeah. And now I want you to sit in it. You don't sit in it. Well, of course you can't. Oh, so you have to open it. Yes. I asked you, does it now have the same being as the thing over there? No, it doesn't. There are degrees. There's a degree of potentiality and a degree of fulfillment. You see, that can take place. Is that a chair over there? Yes. Is this a chair? Yes. Is the one he's sitting in a chair? Yes, they're chairs. They're all chairs. If the chair was like this, and it was in a room, and I said, could you please get me a chair? And this was against the wall, and you went and got it, that would be perfectly fine. That would be perfectly fine. Yeah, it's a chair. You wouldn't bring a table, obviously. You'd bring this. If this was open, you may bring this one, because it's already open. But you wouldn't bring it, of course, if somebody's sitting in it, because it's already fulfilled its nature. But that chair would probably be taken first over this one. Not necessarily, it would depend upon the circumstance of what you want to do with it. But normally, overall thing, take that, etc. What I'm getting at is things have various levels of potential and actual, etc. Now, can I use these in ways, pardon my back, that is opposed or not meant yet complete a task?
Yes.
Yes. I can use this. Somebody's breaking into my house and they're coming in. And I pick up this chair and I whack them with it because that's the only thing I have. Now, did I use it for its purpose? No, I didn't. No. I made a new purpose. Why can I do that? Why can I do that? Which one of those causes am I? Yeah, so very good. So I have now become the efficient cause, that for which it was made. I have become the efficient cause of the chair. Because I'm now changing it and making it to what? I'm making it now into a weapon. A weapon. When the perpetrator is either knocked unconscious or hauled off to the morgue or the prison, etc., I take the chair and I open it up and I put it down and people sit on it. Okay. Because now it's back to its original purpose, its original intent. But that circumstance and what was required, and because I am the one who is now using it and I intended for that. I intended to whack you with the thing because of the circumstance. That changes. Is that a good weapon? Yeah, that against his head or whatever. Yeah, that'll work. It's made out of those materials. It's solid. Yep, solid. And all that kind of stuff. And I'll only find out if I whack him with it. See, it's only the final thing is that final? Did it complete for what it was made for? It could be unsuccessful. He had a helmet on. Or, I don't know, he had one of those motorcycle helmets or something. Okay, yeah, whatever. It didn't fulfill it because it didn't bring about what I wanted it to. Okay. Now, hang in there.
But like Plato and Aristotle, we can still be friends.
Sandy, but will you respect me in the morning?
Stay here.
Anyway, now you can go back down, please. Pick up your chair. And Thank you. Where does this thing go? Where does this go? Where do we have it? It's there. All right. Now, when it comes to God, is there change in God? No?
You asked, is there change in God?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm asking. What's your answer? So let's see. Let's see now. How many are for change? Does God change? None of you. Any of you read the Bible? No, you can't change. You voted for no change. Now you want to change. So you're not changing. There was an incident in which I think it was Moses or Abraham or one of those guys. He's going to destroy the whole city and the whole place. Huh? And he says, oh, don't do it. If I can find 10, 20 just people. Well, okay. Well, okay. Oh, how about 50? I don't really want to test your patience. How about 10? How about if you could find one? Okay, if you can find one. Did God change?
Oh, maybe what his intentions were from the very beginning.
Oh, he changed his mind.
Change
Yeah,
the ability
it's
for
interesting.
man to understand.
That's interesting. See? The question is, when you bring about change with God, you are talking about what? What two elements do you need to know in Aristotle? Substance and accident. Now, what is a substance?
Which is
That which is. Very good. Substance, it's that which is. That is, its being, its essence. That which makes a thing what it is in its nature, in itself. What is an accident? What is an accident? I even talked about it. No. Now, what is an accident philosophically in terms of Aristotle?
beyond what
It's those changeables which do not affect the substance or the essence or the nature. Let's say, for the sake of discussion, that Sandy here, really stretch it, Sandy is 35 years old. Okay? That cackling is from Betty, okay? Naturally. And, oh, Jim there is 50. Now, thank you. I understand. Thank you. Anyway, so you're 35, he's 50, etc. When Sandy has a birthday and he's 36, does he stop being a human being? No. When Jim becomes whatever he's going to be, 55, say 56, doesn't matter. Does he stop being a human being? No. An accident, let's suppose you weigh, for the sake of discussion, 160 pounds. Over the summer, you took a job outside and so on and so forth, and now you weigh 155. Is he not a human being anymore?
No.
Of course not. Those are all things exterior. You change the color of your hair. You lose your hair. You lose some teeth. You get surgery in some kind of way, shape, or form. All of that is accidental. It's accidental in that it doesn't touch on the essence. Those things change. Those things change. But what doesn't change is the essence of what that entity is. It doesn't touch their core, their species. So, Accidents change. This is the substance. This is permanent. This defines thing what it is. And we have to not forget our two little things here. Potential and actual. This is really a wonderful drawing, and I hope you appreciate it, by the way. We have all of these things in play now. See? You understand potential, you understand actual, you understand change, you understand substance, you understand all of those things. You know. Now, what I'm asking you is, does God change? Do you want to qualify that, or do you want to? Go ahead. How did it not affect his essence? I mean, he said he's going to obliterate them, and then he doesn't change it. That's right. That's right. Now, what's wrong with change? What would Plato say?
Gets away from the form.
Very good. Plato would say change. Oh, God. No way. I want to do that. Are you going to change? Oh, yeah, you're going to get older. That's right. And as you get older, what happens? Yes. And what happens ultimately? You croak. That's right. That's what happens. You become slower. You have facial changes, bodily changes, mental changes, emotional changes. You have all those changes. And eventually you push up daisies. That's what happens with change. Change is decay. Change is moving toward deficiency. So now if you say, God changes, well, if God changes, does it mean he becomes less God? Does he become less this? That's what we're asking. Does God become less? Did God become less when he said, okay, give me the 1, than when he was ready to bump off the 100? Why? Why? Why is he still? What do you mean he's still God? What is that? What is that? What's that? But he changed his mind. But he changed his mind. I mean, isn't that a change?
Not in what is.
Why not? Why?
The fact that he could offer mercy does not change the fact that he is and created it all.
Supposing God had said, I'm so tired of you coming to me and saying, all you want to do every time I talk to you is bring everything down. 100, now you want 1, and all of this. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a Donald Trump on you. I'm going to do 1,000 kill him. He was a terrorist before there were terrorists. See? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill 1,000 of them now. Now, you want to keep bargaining? Because next time what I'm going to do, I'm going to kill 5,000 of them. Now, if God put the sign up instead of down like that, and we eliminated Maria's mercy, would that be less God?
No.
Why not? He's now bumping off all these people.
Because he is.
Because he is.
He makes the rules.
Oh, he makes the rules. I see. He makes the rules. Huh. Supposing God, of those 5,000 that he's now killing, 300 are innocent. 300 are innocent. You know? Has he changed? Oh, Marie would be fine with that. Yeah, yes, because Marie told us he makes the rules, Betty. Oh, I should have known. I'm sorry, I apologize. Marie. My God, it sounded strange coming from you. Naturally, Miss Chaos there, you know. God. Does God change? You don't think so? What are the essential attributes of God? Truth. Did these people commit these crimes that just got bumped off to 300? But he killed them anyway. What else? Is God just?
Yeah.
Oh, but he just bumped off 300 innocent people. Is he loving?
Yeah.
Oh, he just bumped off 300 innocent people. Right? What?
He called them to himself. He gave them their reward.
I see. He gave them their reward.
Right? What about the first
Their
one of the Egyptians?
existence is by his being.
We're on to something there now. What might be faulty? What is that?
Humans.
Very good. Perhaps we have it wrong on what this God is. And if we follow the Lady Moses here, and God can do whatever he wants, then, what kind of God do we have then? You have a merciful God who just killed 300 innocent people. My God, I'd hate to see punishment. What do we have? What kind of, what do we have? With faulty knowledge of him? If God took 300 innocent people and killed them, would that be possible? Would it be possible for God to kill 300 innocent people?
Well, how was it?
I don't know.
I mean, we have degrees of guilt. We're a human.
Yeah. Well, right. But if you have God, and God is just, and God killed 300 people, could God do that?
Yeah.
Why could God not do that? In quotes.
Well, like I said, if he's merciful, he wouldn't. They're innocent,
Think of God's nature.
spiritual.
If God is the taking of 300 people just or unjust? The taking of 300 innocent people, killing them, is that just or unjust?
I see it human as unjust.
It's unjust. Well, it's unjust. Justice is rendering to each his due. They're not due the death penalty. that they get knocked off. If we say that God could do that, we would say that God is what? Going what? Against what? Very good. That's as shocking as what St. Paul says in his letter to the Thessalonians. God is ever faithful. He cannot go against himself in taking back his word. It's the same silly thing as, can God make a square circle? It's a nonsensical question. It's a stupid question. It's a meaningless question because it makes no sense. It makes no sense. To say that God could commit an unjust act is to ask God, in effect, to be ungod. In effect, to kill himself. He would be going against himself. Yes? No? See, what you're doing is you are taking the road of Scotus and some of the Franciscans, where the big controversy was between the Thomists and the Franciscans. What you're doing is you are shifting God from reason and internal coherence in nature to a God of voluntarism, that is, a God of pure will. What you're saying is that God simply rules by will, but not by reason in light of his essence. In light of his essence. In other words, God can do anything he wants if he wills it. And that's apart from his essence. Other than pure will. Other than pure will. Now what happens if God tomorrow says, look, I've changed this thing. It's all right for you to kill babies. Now, God can do it. God can. See, if we buy into this idea that God is just pure will, then there's no inherent reason why God can't say that. There's no inherent reason why. And if that's to think of it this way. Person who says, I'm going to do it because I want to. It's my truth. That's the way I felt about it. That's what I wanted to do. So I'm going to do it. I become autonomous, autonomous, a law unto myself. Now, these creatures are not rare. They're all over the place. I do whatever I want. You don't like it? Tough. You may be able to beat me up or have more soldiers or have more guns. Okay, fine. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Why? What's the justification? My will. I want to do it because I want to do it. See? Once you get away from God and God's nature or essence, grounded in a rationality of an internal integrity, and you make God as pure will, God becomes capricious. God becomes a flim-flam. In other words, God becomes chaotic. Because I wake up tomorrow and I say, look, you know that thing I told you about killing babies? Forget it. I'm back on with the other thing. And then say, you can't live that way. You can't live that way. That's why when God created, the first thing was the Holy Spirit bringing order. You had to have order before you could do it. And if all you are is ruled by your will, and it sounds wonderful because it's infected so much of our world today. It's a negative freedom. Freedom from. And what are you free for? Whatever my will says. That's a dangerous world. Because what happens if my will says it's all right to kill you? And the justification is my will. I really did want to do it. That's why you can't operate on pure will. pure autonomy. Because after all, that's the basis upon which we allow unrestricted abortion. Because the killing of that child is dependent solely and completely on the will of the mother. And what is the basis of it? Her will, her decision. That's what it is. A will detached from anything outside of itself becomes the worst tyrant. Becomes the worst tyrant. And hence, what you have is a God who is tyrannical. You have a tyrannical God who can change. You would be asking God to go against his very nature. To ask God to say, look, go back to George Orwell, 1984, with language. Right is wrong, left is right, Tuesday is Friday, anything you want. And that was the so-called Ministry of Information. And they altered that reality through language. And that became the tyrannical big brother of 1984 and so on and so forth like that. Look at the fight, look at today with all this thing and stuff, how we twist language and words and all this kind of stuff. George, you may not like George Orwell, but he surely was a great seer because he saw all of this back in the 1940s. He saw this back in the 1940s. He just didn't do 1984 and that was it, or Animal Farm or any of these things. George Orwell was really, really, in many ways, a great prophet and seer of what was developing. Also, believe it or not, President Eisenhower, in his farewell address, warned. Everybody says, oh, he warned about the military-industrial complex. And that's where they stop, naturally. No, he warned about the burgeoning and developing of a technological complex that was developing, in which more and more power would be concentrated in the hands of a few, can you say Silicon Valley, to the exclusion of many. Back in the 50s, well, 1960 when he got out of office and Kennedy got in, but his farewell address, it's another one of those things, warning ahead. But and if, let's return to what I dismissed as more of Marie's spiritual saccharin, mercy. Could God reveal more mercy? Could God reveal more mercy? Yes, huh?
Yeah.
Go from the Old Testament to the New Testament, the path God does. Does that mean God moved from potential to actual? That's what I'm asking you. That's a good question. Well, what do you think? That's a good question. Therefore, I used the word what? What did I ask you?
Is he potential or actual?
Is he revealing? Revealing means something that's there but not seen. So, the idea here is that if indeed, now, is mercy a good or a bad? It's a good, yeah. Love and friendship and all of these things, these are all goods. These are all goods. Because by their nature, they attribute to the flowering of a human being and the flowering of a society and the world order. The more we have, more justice, more fairness, more all of these things. The proof is in the thing, because the nature of what it is. Now, when it comes to God, Aquinas says simply this: drawing on all of this from Aristotle. Remember, Aquinas, Aristotle. Aristotle, Aquinas. No, this doesn't work. I should have known that. It's impossible. It has neither potential nor actuality in this thing. Anyway. Yes, it does. And it succeeds. God's. God's essence is God's existence. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yes, he is.
That's it. Moses says what? What does Moses ask? Who are you? What's your name?
I am.
I am who I am. What does it mean to say that God's essence is God's existence in terms of potential and actual? Is there any potential in God?
No.
Is there any potential in God? No, that's right. It's all actual. Because if you told me just a little while ago that this chair has less being than the one Sandy is sitting in right now, it has less because it's not fulfilling its function. Is there any aspect of God's nature that is not actualized and fully aware and fully functioning? No. So God's essence is God's. So therefore, can God change in the sense of essence and existence? No, he can't. He cannot change in that particular thing. See? But I want you to see, if you take Aristotle and Aquinas, how we get there other than the Catechism told me so, or, yeah, he doesn't change. No, I want you to see the philosophical development of this in terms of, and also see how it relates to our own ability. In us, we have an essence. Our task is to actualize it. And to the degree that we actualize it is the degree that we develop our humanity. We are saved by Christ, right? This past week, kind of highlighted that. See, the question is, we throw these words together, and they're not to be thrown together. The question is, are we redeemed? Are we redeemed? I have no idea. You might think you are. I hope that's true. You are saved because Christ took it. Are you redeemed? I have no idea. Huh? That's correct. And therefore, that really puts a kind of stopping in our judging other people. If I don't know about me until I croak and get up there, how much more do I know about others? See? I don't know. And that's the thing. That's the thing. We stand before God and we pray for mercy. And now, the Bible says, in God, justice and mercy meet perfectly. Justice is rendering to each his or her due. Mercy is that which extends beyond merely what is due. in God, what is due supersedes the boundaries of human justice and sees what we cannot see, even in ourselves. St. Augustine says, I am a mystery unto myself. Most of us are mysteries to ourselves. You might think you know yourself, but that's a lifelong process, lifelong task. You may be called next week to do things you never thought you would have to do or could do. And yet somehow you do. Or you may have thought you could face any, someone came to Aristotle and said, Aristotle, I'm a very just person. And Aristotle said, how do you know that? And he started rattling off all these things from Plato. And Aristotle said, well, I know what Plato thinks, but I still don't know if you're a just person. He said, what do you mean? I just told you. He said, yeah, but you failed to show me. He said, well, how can I show you? He said, when you're faced in a situation in which you have to be just. Simple example. You go to the rip-off grocery down there, yes, it is. And you go down there, it's really in my crawl, but anyway. You go down there and you give them $10. And, and you get change from 20. And you know that you got too much change. Now, do you say, it'd be hard. Do you say, here, you gave me too much change? Or do you say, their problem? Not my mistake. Finders, weepers, losers, sweepers, your mistake, your problem, da-da-da-da-da. What you do there tells me about whether or not you're, if, I can't even say that. Let me moderate that. It tells me whether or not you can commit a just or an unjust act. Over a period of time, then I would be able to say you're a just or unjust person. Because in order to be designated an unjust person or a just person, it has to be repetitive. We're almost leaving. Hang in there, Roy. I don't want you croaking on us now. We don't have anything to help you here. This is, I don't know what this is. This is glasses, sunglasses. Beautiful, beautiful pair of glasses. These are what is this? I should have known. Ray-Ban. These are Ray-Ban, $600 pair of glasses right there. That's what they are. Don't listen to what he said. It's about $600 on the secondary market. Now it's there. And now that summer's coming on, I really need a pair of glasses. And everybody's filing out. And Sandy leaves his glasses here. And I said, oh, Sandy, look, could you go check on this for me back in the bathroom area back over there? Oh, it's okay? Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. Okay. Fine. Now, Sandy, comes back, and he asks me, and I say, have you seen my glasses? No, I don't see them. I thought I left them there. No, I haven't. I don't see them. Am I okay? Why? I don't see them. But I can't. He didn't ask me that. This is why in many courtrooms you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And in military, very often, they add about without mental reservation. See, mental reservation is an old Jesuit trick. And it saved a lot of lives, especially in World War II when Christians were hiding Jews. The Nazis would come and say, you're hiding anybody in this room? Are you hiding anybody in your house? And they were either down in the basement or over there somewhere. No, we're not hiding anybody in the house. Was that true? Yes. They weren't in the house. I was mentally restricting how I understood in the house to be. Or I may be it to this room or this closet, whatever, like that, you see. And so the idea, let me give you a glass.
He likes
See
it.
one? But anyway, so, this idea of, making decisions and all of that, you can see, we're not going to drag this out much longer, but anyway, essence and existence, and it is this progression. We are made, and then we develop. Saved or we redeemed. And, we know that our nature, our essence is given. The task is the development of it. We're given with all of this. We're given redeemed by Christ, saved by Christ. We're giving all of that. How do we live that? We're giving certain talents, abilities, etc. How do we use them? How do we develop them? How do they come out? That's the great adventure of life. That's the great adventure. That's why life should never be boring, because every day is this unfolding of something. Life is not boring. They're boring people. The gospel is not boring. They're boring people. It's not that. It's how we live and develop that, and so on. And this idea that in God, in essence, and if we keep these things in mind, it gives us greater insight, I think, into ourselves, into the nature of God as much as we can, but also much of daily life. Because as someone said, and it's true, final point, when people talk about change, yeah, that's fine. But change, I advocate change. And today what we want to do is put this big round period right there, as if that's the end of the discussion. That's only the beginning. You advocate change for what? For whom? How? Because it is possible to change and become worse. It is possible not only for evolution, but devolution. To change downward, to regress, and not simply progress. And so these questions, again, are very important. And when we come to, of course, the idea of the efficient cause. What is the efficient cause of God? What is the efficient cause of God? Yeah, okay. Thank you. How can that be a stumbling block? Who made God? Thank you. Yeah, yes, I realize we want to say ourselves, but no, that's called idolatry. Oh, Lord, come on. What is the formal cause? Yes. What? Which is?
In his image.
Yes. 3 words. God is. What does the Bible say? It says it 3 times. Gospel and in the letter of John.
The word.
Yes, I'm sorry. So all of you uptight Puritans who are afraid somewhere somebody's having a good time, Catholics. Yes, to love. I know. What's the material cause?
Which are made up.
Uh-huh. What? Yes. Yeah. Love. That's what it says in one of the Eucharistic prayers. Love is our origin. Love is our destiny. Love is our being. Well, if God is love, then God is love. If God is love, then God's existence is what? If God's essence is love, God's existence is loving, yes. So therefore, what is God's final end? Love. And the expression of that supremely is? Yeah, we just did it last week. Okay. All right, folks. What time is it? 8:57. So you want to leave for 9. So all right. It is. It is. It is. You can see why she was a nurse at Charity Hospital. Weren't you? Yeah, yes. And I stayed away from the floor you were on. I can tell you that.
They ran into each other.
I was. Yes. Many years. Yeah. Yeah. No, I did it before. Yeah, and then when I became a priest, I did work at Charity Hospital for years, especially in the emergency room, because people didn't want to do it down there. And so that was a problem. Yeah. Yep. I tell you, it was a great experience. I learned more things at Charity Hospital than anywhere else. If it wasn't a charity, it didn't exist. That's right. All right. Enough of me, and let's you talk about me. No. Name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Almighty and gracious God, we offer you glory, praise, and thanksgiving for your gift of this holy season and this octave of Easter. Please, each day, may we walk faithfully following our crucified and risen Lord, strengthened and guided in the Holy Spirit, all to your glory, O Heavenly Father. Please grant us your safe passage this night home. If it be your will, please grant us the gift of a new day, and that we may follow Jesus, serving others, loving each other.